Well, hello, everybody. Oh, man, I am real excited about this special little podcast you're about to listen to, or some of you are watching. We've got the old YouTube thing happening now, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek at a website in a minute, so you might want to go over the video if you're listening to the audio only. But here's the deal. For several months, for actually close to a year, we've felt this idea brewing of, well, you ready? Drum roll. The National Peacemaker Association, the NPA, not to be mistaken with another organization called the NRA, the National Rifle Association. This is not that. This is a national movement, in fact, even a global movement of folks working at all the intersections of violence to build a more peaceful world, to subvert violence, to invite people to be peacemakers. National Peacemaker Association. So Dr. King, Martin Luther King, said, those of us who love peace have got to learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. Those who love peace have got to learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. So we started thinking about that and decided maybe we need a big tent that's bringing folks together, because there's folks that are doing really important work around militarism and war, the genocide in Gaza, the escalating violence in Lebanon and Iran, around the world, and folks working on nuclear weapons, right? There's folks that are working around gun violence and violent interrupters, folks that are teaching conflict management and de-escalation, how to kind of train our hearts in a different way of dealing with conflict than violence. And so folks working to abolish the death penalty. There's folks working to not make violence so normative, in our media and our movies and our video games. It's everywhere. So comprehensive movement of peacemaking. We also, here's another piece of this, is ironically, in order to chop up guns, as many of you know, with raw tools and the whole network to beat, swords into plows, to turn guns into garden tools, we have had to get licensing and credentials in order to do that safely and legally. I mean, because you get some of these Mennonite pastors that they want to chop some guns, but they never even touched a gun. So they go to the chop saw. You're like, dang, you're going to get somebody hurt trying to chop that gun up. So we now have like a very robust training curriculum that begins with just safe handling of firearms, to make sure that, if you do a gun surrender event where people are getting rid of unwanted guns, and we're going to be chopping those up, we want to make sure that we know how to handle them safely, how to use a chop saw safely. And so we've got these certifications now that can be, they're, each one of them is like 10 hours or more. And so some of them are we're building this whole credentialing. And the most reputable group, at least for insurance companies and stuff, has been the NRA. So some of us have become trainers. We got our certifications through there, but now we're going to have our own credentialing for the purpose of making the world safer. And also, you'll be able to get a certification in how to, there's safe firearm handling, but then there's also safe firearm chopping, the destruction of the guns. We're hoping to have chop saw churches. We've actually literally prayed over and thrown a little holy water on or whatever, like dedicated these chop saws that'll chop guns up in communities all over the country. So you can get those credentials. We have things like Kingian nonviolence. Dr. King had his 6 principles of nonviolence. So you can study those and learn those. We can do workshops and de-escalation and literally learning the ways of nonviolence. So that was Dr. King's idea too. He said one of his last um, sort of um, declarations to Bernard Lafayette before Dr. King was killed was he said, we need to institutionalize nonviolence. We need to institutionalize it. We need to teach it, incentivize it. So there's folks doing work in schools that are uh, uh, training teachers and students and learning best practices and disarming our hearts and our schools. So all this is so I'm gonna show you something here. Watch this. Do a little screen share, and I'll read it for those of you that are listening. But you go to our website and it says we do peace. Yeah, come on. And on the website, some of this is still under construction, but it's our front homepage says we do peace. We don't do white supremacy or fascism or war or violence in any shape or form. We do love and reconciliation and justice. We don't do fear or bigotry or bullying or discrimination or intimidation. We do peace and nonviolence and community. No matter who you are, where you are from, or what language you speak, no matter what religion you practice, what music you dance to, what political party you're a part of, or what color your skin is, you belong here. No matter what you've done in the past, we're building a better future together. We are a movement, a global movement, and we are stronger with you a part of us. So check it out. This is all a little beta. You're getting the sneak peek here of all the different things. There's a pledge, which I'm going to come back to, that we can all commit ourselves publicly to declare that we are peacemakers. There's awards. So, okay, so here's the deal. Um, we're literally going to have membership, right? Where you can become a card carrying member of the National Peacemaker Association. And there's real small, like, membership fees. And it's the whole point of having that for organizations or people is so we can leverage our collective wealth together to celebrate courageous peacemaking on the ground. So we're going to have like NPA awards where you can nominate folks to get a grant, or you can celebrate someone that's doing courageous peacemaking work in your community. So NPA members, you get a card carrying membership, and then you can nominate folks for those things. We'll have like all kinds of stuff for people of all ages. By the way, that is Caleb, who Caleb Fristow designed the website. We're going to have a bunch of other folks carrying their cards. So just know that this is all coming. It's coming. And we've got like partners, groups, resources. We're going to have all kinds of different places that you can take classes, that you can webinars. You can see how to have better conversations with people you disagree with, nonviolent direct action. And check this out. There's also, I don't know if you've heard this, but there is now basically when you get when you turn 18, you're automatically registered for the military. And now we are going to have a way, the pledge will be a way that young people and all people can uh, make a commitment to conscientious objection. So you have to, that's a legally protected status. And so we're going to make it to where you can go public by making the NPA pledge. And then if there was a draft or mandatory service, you could say, it conflicts with my faith and my conscience. So check it out. This was all, you'll see our board and our advisory board. There's all kinds of incredible folks that are already a part of this, and we need you. So we're continuing to build this little movement out. We've got folks that have been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, folks that are certified Kingian nonviolence instructors, pastors, activists. So pretty awesome. That's just a few of our people, y'all, but it's really about all of us doing it together. I want to tell you there's going to be books and films and different things that you can see. So, and of course, some swag. One of our shirts, oh man, I'm telling you all the secrets. One of our shirts though says, protecting your right to live unarmed. So we've got the best lawyers in the country. We've got all of our trademarks and copyrights and logos and stuff. All that's landed. So we also just became an official 501c3 nonprofit organization. So check it out. Though I want you, at the heart of it really is this pledge. So I want to go. I want to read the pledge to you so you can see it here. Join. Okay, so this is the pledge that we're taking together. In fact, I might have to just go back for a second. Okay, so the pledge. This is it. I'm going to read it to you. The Peacemaker Pledge, the NPA Pledge. I hereby pledge myself to nonviolence, peace, and justice for all people everywhere and all creation. I seek to heal the wounds of violence in my own heart, in my community, and in our world. I will walk and talk in the manner of love and respect towards all. I will listen deeply to both friend and foe, pursue truth with humility, and seek understanding before judgment. I will make every effort to speak directly with people whose actions I oppose and to treat them as I would like to be treated. I will refuse to retaliate in the face of provocation. I will accept suffering in the struggle for justice and peace rather than inflict it. I am willing to die, but not to kill. I will refrain from violence of fist, tongue, or heart. I will not use hostile language, insults, or make any threats of violence. I denounce the idolatry of guns and war. I will refrain from violence. I will reject all violence, whether it's done by an individual or by the state. I am a conscientious objector to war and refuse to participate in the systems of death. Woo! I will seek to defeat injustice, not people. Not only do I refuse to kill, I also refuse to hate. I will direct my resistance towards evil systems, never towards the human beings caught up within them. I will seek reconciliation, not victory, healing, not revenge. I will seek daily for all people, both the oppressed and the oppressors, to be free of violence and hatred. I will refuse to cooperate with evil. I will use every nonviolent tool available to resist evil and build beloved community. I will live conscientiously and simply so that I do not deprive others of the means to live. I will stand against economic violence, policies that oppress, and companies that exploit. I will strive to live in a way that values people over profits and shows deep reverence for all the earth's creatures. I will work nonviolently to abolish war and the causes of war from my own heart and from the face of the earth. I will examine my own biases, wounds, and capacity for harm with honesty and courage. I will cultivate rhythms of rest, healthy boundaries, and supportive relationships so that I can sustain this work with a heart that is tender toward people, but tough on systems for the long haul. In making this covenant, I recognize that I'm part of a movement that is about me, but is also bigger than me. I will stay grounded in nonviolence as a philosophy, practice, spiritual discipline, and way of life. I will strive to embody love in everything I say and do towards all people and all creation. I make this pledge, the Peacemaker Pledge, y'all. I make this pledge in the company of a beloved community, and I trust that the power of love working through us and others like us can transform the world that is into the world that ought to be, a world where we beat our swords into plows and study war no more. So that, y'all, was the Peacemaker Pledge that we're going to invite you. I know it's robust. We built on like dozens of other pledges. Dr. King had a pledge, and the 10 Commandments of the movement. We've got, the Poor People's Campaign has a similar commitment to nonviolence. Our brother John Deere and others created a nonviolent covenant and a vow of nonviolence. So we've worked with all of these and really collectively to create this statement that we're inviting you to be a part of. And it's a declaration, right? To keep ourselves accountable, but also to in this moment where there is so much violence, to say, Jesus, bless the peacemakers. And I want to be one of those peacemakers. Now I'm getting ready to tell you one other thing. So there's all these classes you can have, certifications. We got partnerships, even with academic institutions. Like we're going to be encouraging folks to explore things like St. Stephen's University, which is now accrediting. You can get academic credit. You can take whole university classes in nonviolence and peacemaking. You can learn from peacemakers in Palestine. You can learn from folks around the world. So we got folks like our sister Naomi Tutu and others that have been a part of nonviolent movements in different contexts, and that collective wisdom, woo, it's going to be powerful, y'all. Already is. So we're just kind of creating a hub for that. And there's one more piece of this though, which is the National Peacemaker Association will also have a separate entity that is a 501c4. So that's some legal language, but what it means is that there are some perimeters and limitations of tax-exempt organizations, and that's a good thing, of how much you can do or what you can do politically. So it's not unusual to have another entity that can carry the other leg of this, which is some political and advocacy organizing. So there are groups that rate politicians based on their commitment to different things. There are folks that actually give a grade to politicians, A to F, on their record, their track record when it comes to guns and gun rights and the Second Amendment and advocacy, not just for the right to own a gun, but just no limitations on guns. So we're going to be doing our own grading of politicians with receipts and candidates and others. What is their comprehensive grade when it comes to peacemaking? And that includes militarized police, ICE. It includes things like funding war and militarism, the continued arming of Israel as it's carried out so much violence, and other countries too that we've sold arms to. Like, are you funded from the profiteers, what Pope Francis called the merchants of death? So we'll be looking at all that and offering some grades for our legislators and wannabe legislators, those candidates in the future. So know that that's coming. We got like 15 different committees that are working on all these different pieces of it. But it's going to be amazing to have this way that we can belong together. Because one thing that, groups like, I'll just say, like in Beating Guns, we researched the National Rifle Association, the NRA, and we found that, there's one thing that they have done really well. Maybe a couple things. I think they have created a sense of belonging with a very different vision for the world than what we will be doing at the National Peacemaker Association. But they've also created a group of folks that are really active when it comes to engaging politicians. So a study of the NRA showed that people who are members of the National Rifle Association say that they've contacted a public official, 50% of them, and that 25% of them have done it in the last year. So a quarter of them are in regular contact with their legislators. Now, when you look at the general population, folks not in the National Rifle Association, only 15% say that they have, of people say that they've contacted a public official to express their opinion on guns. and violence, and only 5% have done it within the last year. So all that to say is, um, those of us who love peace have got to learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. As Dr. King said, those of us who care about children more than guns, protecting our young people, which gun violence is now the number one cause of death of children and youth in America. That matters to God. Every one of them is made in the image of God. So we want to engage, but we also want to build something on our own. The beautiful vision about, they shall beat their swords into plows and spears into pruning hooks is when you look at the prophets, Micah and Isaiah, it does end with this vision that we'll live without fear. People will be able to literally turn their weapons into garden tools. But then it says, and they will study war no more. Nation will not rise up against nation. But the peace doesn't come from the top down. It comes from the bottom up. It's not the politicians and presidents and kings and prime ministers that lead the way to peace. They're the ones that keep creating the wars. It is the people who rise up and are fed up. They are tired of death, and they begin to take their weapons into their own hands. They begin to transform the tools of death into tools of life, swords into plows, guns into garden tools. And so the people are getting organized. And we want you to be a part of this. You will hear very soon. We're getting all of our stuff set up with the banks, and pretty soon the website. We're making a few changes. There is some parity there because parity is totally legal, but we're going to be very, very clear that we are establishing a movement with a vision of the world where it's all about love, not fear. It's about advocating for life and advocating for the deep conviction that every single person is made in the image of God. Every single person, their life is sacred, and this is about training ourselves, right? Mandela said, we aren't born hating other people. We learn to hate. And we learn violence. So the good news is, if we learn violence, we can unlearn it. We can train ourselves in nonviolence. We can create new ways of dealing with conflict. We can learn it. Like Kazu Haga talks about it as a martial art, that we are learning the muscle memory for how we can react in times of violence. So we literally will be training ourselves in nonviolence. I wanted to, I'm going to do more shows on this. I'm going to have a bunch of our board and advisory board join me from time to time as we release this into the world. But you're going to hear it soon, that the National Peacemaker Association, the NPA, is a thing. We've already got some swag and stuff. All of it's going to be a nonprofit that just is mobilizing as much resources, as many resources as we can towards peacemaking work on the ground in our communities around the world, celebrating best practices, people that are doing this work. So know that you are not alone. And real soon, we hope that you will become a card-carrying member of the NPA, National Peacemaker Association. So we'll have the website and all that going public soon. But for now, just want to make sure you're the first to know. Before we do press releases and start making little selfie videos and all that stuff, know that we who love peace are organizing and creating a place where we can belong. We can celebrate a vision for the world where we don't return evil for evil, where we know that violence is the disease, not the cure. So, National Peacemaker Association, coming soon. Boom. Talk to y'all later. Thanks for listening to the show. Oh, one more thing. In October, we are having our annual national it's actually open to anybody. We have a few international folks, but it is the Peacemaker Summit. So registration is now open, and it's going to be several days here in Philly. You can come and learn. We're going to fire up forges and melt guns down. We're going to have workshops and groups that are sharing panels and stuff, talking about real practices, real practical nonviolence and what it looks like. So come to the Peacemaker Summit, October, I think it's 21st through the 24th. You can see it all at redletterchristians.org for now. That's where you can register for the Peacemaker Summit. Come on out here to beautiful Philadelphia, the city of love, in October, and join the Peacemaking Summit. Okay, talk soon.